Welcome back to GM Place here in Vancouver. We're just about ready to get game one of this best-of-7 series underway. We talked about Chris Mason and the Blues. How about Roberto Luongo with the Canucks, Daryl?
He looks primed to go on one of those runs that everyone's been expecting for a while. Those are his numbers here at GM Place this season. 6 shutouts and that 1.99 goals against average, the best of any goalie at home this season.
We're proud to bring you Stanley Cup playoff hockey here on Versus in high definition as we're underway. Shane O'Brien on defense for the Vancouver Canucks, paired with Kevin Bieksa, and the puck played in by Rick Rippon. Brian Johnson, a former Blue, in for the puck, along with Darcy Hordichuk. Down he goes. And the Blues with it. Dan Heine rolling it out to center. St. Louis finishing up 9-1-1 in the last 11 games. And what's amazing about that, Daryl, is they played 6 of their last 7 on the road. You talked about it in the open. They are in their element.
There were a lot of people that looked at their schedule and said the schedule was going to keep them out of the postseason more than their opponents, just because they had to play so much on the road.
Luongo out to play that puck. Alex Steen over 4. Leaving it for Jay McClement. Steen trying to outmaneuver Alexander Edler. The pass picked off by Daniel Sedin, looking for his twin brother Henrik. And the Blues take over on defense.
That checking line for the Blues with McClement in the middle up against the Sedins, and suspect that's what we will see. And Jackman and Polak on defense.
Pass ahead for Matt Sundin. As David Backes steps up to throw a hit, comes up with a puck. Longtime Canuck Matthias Olin on the Vancouver defense. They're on the boards, held into zone by veteran defenseman Jay McKee. And it's played out by Edler. Getting to it, it's Sundin. He'll take on Jeff Wojtwitka on defense with McKee. At the point, the shot by Sammy Salo is blocked. He gets it again. He'll crank another one. That's blocked by Backes. And the play saved by Willie Mitchell. And behind is Sundin, looking for Ryan Kessler. Works to come up with it along with Pavel Demitra. Sundin out in front for Kessler, and McKay just recovered to get a piece of that one. Kessler back at center. Mitchell under some heat from Brad Boyes. Kyle Wellwood, the former Maple Leaf. Now to Kessler, he throws the hit. Poliakovo had him lined up, but it was Kessler who delivered the blow.
This should be a pretty heavy hitting series. There's a lot of big forwards that can get in on either team's defense and try to soften them up. The Canucks have had the biggest trouble transitioning out of their own zone, D to D.
Here's Patrick Bergling shooting, and it's saved by Luongo, the first save of the series. Well, here are our Progressive Insurance keys to the game.
For Vancouver, challenge this Blues defense. On paper, it looks like an area due to some inexperience and injury that can be exposed. For St. Louis, solve Roberto Luongo. He comes in on a 2-game shutout streak. They have to find a way to get in his kitchen a little bit, and then special teams. This time of year, it's usually a critical area of the overall game. The edge heading into the series has to be given to St. Louis, who were top 10 in both power play and penalty killing in the regular season.
You're right about Luongo. It's been 8 days since he's given up a goal.
He's only given 1 up on his last 90 shots.
What's interesting is this matchup in goal, the NHL 3 stars for the final week of regular season play. Luongo, the number 1 star with that 1 goal against and 3 wins. And Mason, the number 2 star, well, he gave up all of 2 goals and 3 wins.
You're expecting a low-scoring series, are you, Rick?
I think so. It might be an indication. Heine working it down low to Brad Winchester, trying to get it out in front. And he gets it back again. Looks for Keith Tkachuk, and it's taken over by the Canucks. Out comes Hordichuk.
Well, he's been a real strong forechecking start for the Blues. Put pucks deep. They pressured the Vancouver defense, forced them to burp the puck up a couple of times.
It's Sundin into the zone. Sedin with a pass out of the reach of Alex Burrows. Daniel Sedin arriving on the scene. Henrik trying to come up with it. And it's McClement. With the Canucks taking over at center. Mitchell chased by B.J. Crombeen, acquired off waivers from Dallas back in November. Puck played to center by Henrik Sedin, and Barrett Jackman will drive it in. This is the 3rd meeting all-time between these teams in Stanley Cup play. The Canucks have prevailed in the 7-game series twice. The last meeting in 2003, they were down 3 games to 1 and won 3 in a row to finish off St. Louis. Jackman over 4. Pressured by Kessler. Jackman with a pass up the middle by everybody and on goal. And Luongo sees Andy McDonald racing in there, spraying some snow into the face of Luongo. And the Canucks react to that.
Well, I suspect you'll see some of this, a lot of it, as this series moves along, where the St. Louis Blues will drive people to the net. There's a little snow shower, a little wakey from McDonald. You don't have to do that. It's the unwritten rule, part of the code. Some visual daggers from Luongo, and in comes the cavalry to support him. But the idea being that if the most significant guy on the Canucks is that man, Roberto Luongo, you have to find a way to get him off of his game. And one can be getting people to the front of the net, because you hear it ad nauseum in this league. He doesn't like traffic. No goaltender I've ever come across in my life likes traffic. And funnel a lot of pucks to the net and crash there with people.
Chris Lee, Dan O'Halloran are the referees for this game. Derek Amell and Mike Civic are the linesmen. No penalties resulting from that little get-together. Perhaps the first of many in this series, as Sundin, always up around 55-56% in the face-off circle, cleanly wins that draw. Kessler from center, he'll keep it away from Chris Mason. Getting to it at Sundin. He's bumped in there by Backus. Mike Weaver, who was with the Canucks last year, signed as a free agent by the Blues. Lays it off the glass down the ice, and Mitchell racing back. He encounters Backus. And the point, it's Koliakovo. Weaver looks, fired, and it's blocked. Dimitrov trying to break away. He's cut off by Koliakovo.
Good hustle.
Koliakovo, a new face coming over in November to join this defense as the injuries piled up back there. Kessler landing a hit down low. The Blues without two of their top defensemen. Their captain, Eric Brewer, has been out with a back injury. And of course, Eric Johnson, their fine young defenseman, first overall pick from 2006, injured in an incident with a golf kite. Down goes Alex Burrows. The referees aren't fine on that one, and that upsets the crowd. And Johnson never got his season started.
Well, they're dinged up overall this season. They were one of the most injured teams in the league, which is another wonderful, commending performance by their head coach to get the guys that he did have available to play to the level that they did all season long.
And they piled up 465 man games lost to injury once again. The Canucks object to the Blues' proximity to goaltender Luongo. As we look at Andy Murray,
he has to be in the mix for Coach of the Year in the NHL this year. Arguably the most fastidious of coaches in the league, and that's saying something when you consider how many hours coaches put in this league nowadays. He has the wonderful ability to keep his team in the moment. And if you work hard and you do what you're told, you play. So they're a deep team. They use all 6 defensemen, and they use all 4 lines because they do what he wants them to do.
He's had such big performances from his young players all year, as Mason now makes his first save, and he'll squeeze the pads together, and the teams get together around that St. Louis net. But he's been critical of the young players the last 5 games. He says they haven't played very well, and he's looking for them to raise their level here with the playoffs beginning.
I don't know if he can get that guy to raise his level any higher than he has, though. His netminder, Chris Mason, had a good talk with him this morning about heading into the playoffs as the #1 guy. He was the #1 goaltender in Nashville and felt that he didn't handle it properly, that he put too much pressure on himself. He learned from that experience. Now he just sort of lets everything come to him, shrugs off most, whether it's criticism, bad goals, bad games, you name it.
Two veterans, Sundin and Tkachuk, on this faceoff. Wojciech, the former Flyer first-round pick, his partner McKee. Out at center, it's Tkachuk to dump it in. He'll take on Shane O'Brien. 2 big bodies bumping in that corner. O'Brien looking for an outlet valve there, and it's played out for Dimitrov. It's behind him, and the Blues hold it in the zone.
They're really struggling to get clean out of their own zone. You know, the Blues a very structured team with a purpose on their forecheck, and it's up to the Canucks to get through them clean with the puck. Turnovers will eat you up.
Dimitrov's drive is blocked by Wojciech. Edler looks to re-enter along with Wellwood. What a reclamation project he's been for the Canucks this season. The pass out to Olin. He'll let it rip. It's off the glove of Mason.
The other thing the Canucks have, they have a very mobile defense. They usually terrific first pass decor out of their own zone. And they can also bring the noise from distance offensively.
As Wojtko tried to send David Perron on his
another shower.
Another snow shower into Luongo. He holds the puck and gets a whistle. We're scoreless early.
Back at GM Place, the Canucks hosting the Blues in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and doing so with heavy hearts. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the team, and for one team member in particular. You may have noticed left winger Taylor Pyatt is not with the team tonight. He's actually at home in Ontario indefinitely, mourning the death of his 27-year-old fiancée. Carly Bragnolo died suddenly on April 2nd in a car accident in Jamaica where she was vacationing with her family. Her funeral was just yesterday, so as you can imagine, Rick and Razor, there are a lot of raw emotions in that Canucks dressing room today. Carly, very well liked by the players and their significant others. A really sad story. She and Taylor were together for 11 years since she was 16 years old. They were supposed to get married this summer.
Thanks, Lindsay. Very sad situation for Taylor and his teammates and the families involved, and of course the Canucks still mourning the loss of outstanding defenseman Luc Bourdon, who was killed tragically last summer.
Yeah, last May in a motorcycle accident, and Alex Burrows has basically dedicated this season to his good buddy Luc Bourdon, and what a season he's had.
Wow, 28 goals. A career year for him. He had 12 last year and 28 this year. Here's Alex Steen for St. Louis shooting, and it's tipped by Mitchell over the net to Clement. Got to play it back behind the net as the Canucks try to get out of that zone against the St. Louis forecheck. And tap it down the ice, and Jackman right there. Vancouver going for a quick change is Barrett Jackman, the Rookie of the Year in the NHL, the Calder Trophy winner in 03, dumps it in. McClellan at a big collision there with Edler, and a penalty upcoming against Vancouver. Weaver for the extra man on. Koliakovo's shot is snuffed out by Hordichuk, and now the Canucks control will have the penalty call with O'Brien getting into it with the Crombine once again around Roberto Luongo.
Well, Dan O'Halloran made this call. He couldn't have been in closer proximity to the barbary that went on in the corner. Edler, I believe, is the guy who's going to get the gate. O'Brien's in there trying to get somebody to joust with him to try to even things up. Just a collision in the corner. Puck goes in. Trying to protect himself because he knew McClement was coming in to finish him. The Blues player goes down. Led with an elbow, and you can see where the referee is. Just, I mean, you can't be any closer than that. And he will flag him for the elbowrectomy. So a big key heading into this had to be for the Blues to get their power play on the ice, A, and B, use it, because at even strength they don't look like they can match the Canucks in offense throughout their lineup, but they can in this scenario.
Face-off won by Ryan Johnson, and the Canucks trying to get off at a good start here in the first short-handed situation of the series, and that puck deflected in and out of the bench area, so face-off comes back into the Vancouver zone. Talked with Carlo Koliakovo about that power play this morning, and he said with all the injuries we had, that was certainly our rock all year, was the power play. Maintain top 10 standing all season long. There
are three things I think that you can overcome injuries with. One is that special teams, goaltending obviously, and structure, and the Blues have all three of those.
Koliakovo, big part of the improved power play, which was rock bottom last year and 29th the year before. But they were 8th in the rankings this year, over 20%, and adding him from Toronto in late November, a big part of that according to head coach Andy Murray. TJ Oshie in there for the puck, number 74 is Koliakovo working it now to Tkachuk. McDonald now to Koliakovo. McDonald closing in, shooting, and it's blocked by Kessler. As he breaks his stick in doing so, the puck is cleared out.
Willie Mitchell, who will be a horse on their penalty killing, in front of the net, trying to deal with Keith Tkachuk, who likes to go to the front of the net. They're really worried about that first power play's ability to set up Brad Boyes for one-timers.
Backus trying to dump it in, knocked down by Olin. Backus after it. Wojtko Playing it back to Backus. Out in front. Here's a shot by Winchester. A save by Luongo, and he covers up at the feet of Patrick Berglund.
Good look there. Backus in the corner. A big seam to feed that one out in front of Winchester, who's been a nice find for them this season. A perfect Andy Murray style player. There's the pass. It wasn't broken up. Can't give up that seam. And Luongo, if he's going to see it from that distance, and if it's just a wrister, is going to absorb it as he did. It's been a good start for the Blues here on the road. Very good.
Kessler trying to get it out. Olin under some heat. Throws it to the open point, and David Perron is there. The 20-year-old's pass comes out of the zone. Wojtke has to back it out with 35 seconds to go on the elbowing call against Edler. The shot's 4-2, favoring St. Louis to this point, and it's fed down the ice by Olin. Alex Burrows, one of their top penalty-killing forwards. He'll try to occupy the Blues' defense.
And a threat to score, too. He and Kessler both can be very dangerous when shorthanded.
Perron carries into the zone. Feeds it to Berglund. 2/3 of the St. Louis kid line with DJ Oshie that's been so effective throughout the season. Mitchell pokes the puck free, and we got a whistle and a hand pass. 1 second to go on the Edler penalty.
And really, they didn't generate much on this. It was a good penalty kill for the Canucks, who iced it 3 or 4 times. The one save from Roberto Luongo, and that was it as far as danger. There's Alain Vigneault, who interviewed for his own job over a 2-week period in the summer with new GM Mike Gillis, survived a 9-game losing streak here at home, and then guided them to an 11-game winning streak here at home. It's been quite a season for the Canucks.
Steve Bernier, the pass in front is deflected behind. A hard-charging Daniel Sedin, and a penalty upcoming here. It will go against St. Louis as the Canucks back to full strength, and soon to get the power play. They've got Luongo off, and Dimitri's the extra man on. We've got Daniel Sedin parked in the slot. They find it, he scores! The pass was on the money, and the Sedins answer the call. Daniel connecting for the series' first goal.
You almost freak out when it isn't Henrik that sets him up on that. This is what they have popularized around the NHL on a lot of teams' power plays. Essentially, this was a power play. They had Luongo at the bench, as you mentioned, Rick. Dimitri was the guy who came on. They freeze everyone. It's that high tip. Most people anticipate the puck's going to come to the net. Wide open and on his forehand, all he does is just shovel it toward the net. Mason couldn't pick it up in time. Probably lost vision on the knot that was in front of him. Of bodies, and bang, just like that. Even though they were up against it for most of the first half of this opening period, the Canucks take the lead.
Well, you mentioned they had a pretty easy time in killing that penalty, Darryl. That might have settled it down right there. And certainly taking advantage with a goaltender off and the extra attacker on. Here's Backus in for St. Louis. His try along the goal line stopped by Luongo. Daniel Sedin scoring from Dimitri and Edler at 10:03 to give the Canucks the 1-0 lead. Wojtke and a Backus out in front. Boy, is the one-timer swinging and missing. And Backus, the 31-goal man, hanging on to it for the Blues. Dishes back to Jay McKee. He's pressured by Dimitri. And a couple of guys who've been under the heat in terms of being expected to produce in the playoffs. Both the Sedins, and certainly Dimitri's another one. 7 years a member of the Blues, been looking for more offense from him. He delivered in that situation. Wojtke pulls the puck in deep. Olin pressured here by Tkachuk, who goes 230 pounds. A pass around for a speedy Mason Raymond. Rink-wide feed for Bernier. He's got Wellwood cutting to the net. Can't find him, though. He's occupied behind the net by Weaver. Puck still up for grabs, and the 225-pound Bernier gets to it. Spins out in front. Feeds the point man, Bieksa. Waiting for the screen. Shooting, and it just deflected wide. Tkachuk knocked to the ice, and a solid hit by Olin.
Interference, I think. Got him away from the puck.
That will give St. Louis a chance to come back as the Canucks scoring on the goal by Daniel Sedin, leading 1-0 here in the first period of Game 1.
Back at GM GM Place, Vancouver with a 1-0 lead in the first. Barrett Jackman, one of the Blues charged with shutting down Vancouver's top line. Started off awfully well. What happened on the goal?
He just got the delayed penalty, and they got the extra attacker out there, and we just didn't collapse to the front of the net. And against Sedin, put one by Mason.
Thanks a lot, Barrett.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you very much, Lindsay.
He could do my job. I know I couldn't do his.
But how is he with a telestream?
It's a good question.
Blues back in the power play off that interference call against Olin at 11:44. Second opportunity for St. Louis. They didn't do much with the first one. They've got Oshie parked around the net. Pass across blocked by Salo. Boys claiming his stick was chopped out of his hand, and I think that's what Chris Lee saw. And now we're going to have a 5-on-3 for St. Louis with 1:42 left on the Olin penalty.
Wow. I think Boys half called this. That's an incredulous Alain Vigneault. Everyone always gets ticked when the guy closest to the delinquency doesn't call it, and the guy from distance does. Look at that. There are veins popping early there. This is a key juncture of this one. Canucks have just gone up 1-0, and they're in a world of hurt against the 8th best power play in the National Hockey League.
Burrows gets to the puck. Going to backhand it out. It's held in by Boys. Now McDonald has room to walk off the boards. Get it to Oshie. Oshie once again. Around they work it. Backus with 2 men in front. Boys closing it. Oh, stop by Luongo.
Fabulous.
Kicks out the left leg pad. McDonald out of Boys. Couldn't get it in the shooting position. Backus with 1:11 to go in the first call. TJ Oshie closing it, feeding it, deflected, and it's blocked out in front, comes back to McDonald. He looks for that one-timer to Boys, it's blocked by Kessler. Pokes free, the Blues maintain control, Boys closing it, fires, and he sends it wide. And Oshie gets to it in time to hold it in. Across to Boys. Oshie looks, fakes the shot, McDonald. Looks toward the net, back to Boys. Here's the drive, the one-timer by Boys, and blocked by Kessler once again as he works with Burrows and Willie Mitchell. Backus closing in. The pass was blocked by Mitchell. Recovered by Oshie. 30 seconds on the first penalty. McDonald walks in. That pass was blocked by Mitchell. Boys fakes. Doesn't have a shooting angle as Kessler's right out on him. And a nice block by Burrows. Prevents a pass from getting through to McDonald. Boys rockets the wrist shot over the crossbar as the Blues hang on to it. 10 seconds to go on the penalty to Olin. An exhausted trio of Canucks continue to work out there, and Luongo makes the save. He stops Backus, and he and Kessler get it going. Tkachuk dumped a Canuck out in front of the goal, and we're going to get a penalty to Keith Tkachuk with 3 seconds to go on the Olin call. 22 seconds remaining on the slashing call to Salo.
I don't know how these three have enough energy to push back on the tail end of a brilliant penalty kill. Canucks go with 2 forwards and 1 defenseman. Burrows and Kessler up top. Mitchell in below. The St. Louis Blues tried to take the puck to the net 8 times during this set. Only 2 got through. That was the first one. Andy McDonald, who loves to go down on that one knee and try to elevate it in tight. Didn't elevate it. Couldn't find a seam between the skate, pad, and post. And then the last one was the one that Luongo absorbed. Not only do they get a break here, and that there's a minor to Tkachuk, but the faceoff comes all the way down to the other end of the ice.
So that will virtually kill the remaining 3 seconds on Olin.
That's as good a penalty killing from 3 guys against 5 as you're ever going to see.
4-on-4 for another 12 seconds as it's Daniel Sedin to Olin. He called for it. He got it, a save by Mason. Weaver getting it now to Jackman and ahead to Steen. Canucks will soon get their first power play here. Jay McClement backhands in front. It's steered away by Luongo. He takes a shove at Steen. And Salo out of the box. The man advantage belongs to Vancouver now with 1:30 to go in the call against Tkachuk. Henrik Sedin has got Dimitrov floating around the slot. The pass to Bieksa, tees it up and fires. A save by Mason.
Had to find that through traffic. Canucks can really bring it from the blue line. It's a major difference between them and St. Louis.
Daniel Sedin's pass was blocked, saved by Edler. On the point, it's Edler. Closing in, firing, and it's blocked in front by Backman. Reached up to his face. He's going to get to the bench. Apparently okay, but a close call there.
Brave and unbelievable. Barrett Jackman right in the crosshairs of that one.
Edler lugs it all the way in with Wellwood around the net. Ian Kessler led the Canucks with 10 power play goals in the regular season. Wellwood with only 8 goals in Toronto last year. Sundin stick handle out of the zone, brought it back in offside. And Wellwood rescued off waivers by the Canucks during the week of the draft last summer in an 18-goal season. As we mentioned, 10 on the power play. Looks like Barrett Jackman's okay.
Boy, lion-hearted, though. We were talking this morning with the goaltenders. You could see that deflect. Took it right up in the clavicle, I think, and not the face. Here's a better look from right in behind Edler, who can scream it. Wow. Hard to believe back in the day, goalies didn't wear a mask. Andy Brown was the last one to do that in this league. And that was, what, 35 years ago?
Yep, 1974. Now Kachuk's down to 20 seconds to go in his roughing penalty. Zolan lugs it in. Let's keep it moving. In from the point comes Salo. Take it over by Jackman. And Dimitra has it, trying to center it. Sprawling block by McKee. Couple of very solid types back there for St. Louis, and McKee and Jackman.
Yeah, you know, they'll lay their body on the line to break up either a pass or a shot. Jay McKee was top 10 in the NHL in block shots. Great value killing penalties.
Well, they kill the rest of Kachuk's call and keep it at a 1-0 Vancouver lead. As we've got 4 minutes to go in this first period. Mason Raymond trying to lose. Mike Weaver lost the puck to McDonald. And out for 20-year-old David Perron. Little chip in charge for Perron and Brad Boyes. Mitchell paired with O'Brien in the Vancouver defense. Here's Perron out of the corner. Shooting. Saved by Luongo. Once again, kicking out the left leg. And play halted. We got a call here against Perron for a trip. And the Canucks back in the power play with a 1-0 lead. Bill, thanks very much. As this is the only Western Conference matchup getting underway in this opening night of the playoffs. David Perron called for tripping.
He had a juicy opportunity there just before taking the minor. There. Spin around hook. The kid sits in the box. The Canucks finally get what is looking like might be a full power play on the job. They were going to go on it earlier in the period and scored.
They got one shot on goal on their first opportunity. They start this one out with a puck, and it's Salo with a point. Daniel Sedin winding, finding Henrik out in front. Bernier, the pass spoiled by Jackman, who was second in the league in ice time in shorthanded situations this year. Weaver dispenses with the puck, gets it out to McClement, couldn't clear. Heinold with it. He'll send it down the ice.
Tried to get too clever with their exits and almost got caught with it. One thing the Canucks are strong is on the dot. Face-offs are a real strength for their team, and it really shows up on special teams. Possession off draws in the attacking zone to start your power play. Winning face-offs when you're killing penalties.
Mason looks surprised to see Daniel Sedin bearing down on him. He got the puck free as Bieksa with a new crew out to join him on this power play. Starts it up ice. 1:11 to go in the penalty to Perron. Roman Polak trying to negate Ryan Kessler in that corner. Wellwood feeding it to the point. Dimitra mishandles it. And Mike Civic on the call. Offside. They'll bring it out.
It's twice they've done that. Sundin just did it. Dimitra did it there. They've been hot. This is over the last month and a little bit. Only surrendered 4 power play goals. Big keys for them are, we've already seen an example of it, shot blocking. They got a lot of guys that'll give up the body and take a bruise to make sure a puck doesn't get through. And the other part is the guy in net.
As the Blues trying to come up with a puck in that Vancouver zone, Matt Sundin back to help. Sundin with 9 goals, 28 points in 41 games. He signed as a free agent. Long-awaited signing in the middle of December. Made his debut in the lineup January 7th. Here's Dimitra firing, and it's blocked by McKee. Deflects off the spectator netting out of play. Well, fans, experience the portal. Get all access to the Stanley Cup playoffs with the daily pregame show, On Location Blog Network, and other exclusive content only through the portal at NHL.com.
That snake freaks me out every time it's coming.
Well, they got 35 seconds remaining on the Vancouver power play. Canucks leading on the goal by Daniel Sedin, with a delayed penalty signaled for. And we've got a little over 2 minutes to go in the period. Daniel again, he's stopped by Mason.
While they went chasing the puck, they were really cooking hungry that time.
Bieksa fires. Mason is saved in traffic as he's got Burrows to deal with right out in front of the goal. Saddle closing in. He can fire it. He'll send it to the corner. It got out of the reach of Henriksen. He played down the ice by McClement. He'll win the race for the puck. Saddle trying to cut him off. The shot. Saved by Luongo, and he coolly juggles it and hangs on with 7 seconds to go on the penalty to Perron.
He's on quite a run in net. He's been hermetic again tonight. Off the draw, one of the Sedins got kicked out, and the other one went in. You could almost just skate next to one another, and the same guy could go in there again. I don't know that the linesman would ever know. And off of that, the Blues went hunting the puck, lost it, big save in front, and a bigger one at the other end on the shorthanded bid by McClement.
Mitchell handles it, pressured by boys. As St. Louis now back to full strength to kill the Perron penalty.
An equal opportunity. Canuck power play that time.
Who was with Luongo having to come up with a save. Here's Raymond with speed cutting in. Couldn't get that puck to cooperate and took a left as he took a right.
You can do that with him, though. Talk about a guy who has the restrictor plate taken off. He can fly. Just lay it up, let him skate underneath of it.
Out of the University of Minnesota Duluth. He'll chase after Jeff Woywitka. Poliakovo with it now with a minute to go in this first period. Andy McDonald finds the puck. A good pass to McClement, winding, firing, and it's deflected over the net by Edler. Blues keep it in the zone. Mitchell able to get it ahead to Raymond. Raymond will flip it in, and Jackman back as Canucks complete a change. Matt Sundin on here with Kessler and Dimitra in the final minute. We'll get a whistle here for an icing call against St. Louis.
An opportunity for Alain Vigneault to change things up and try to win an offensive draw and see if they can add to what they have on the board right now. It's been one of those periods, I think, that both coaches didn't really want heading into it, where it was broken up with a lot of special teams. First game of the Stanley Cup playoffs, try to get as many guys into it as you can, try to have some kind of a rhythm to it, and it's been a little herky-jerky at times. McClement's going to get the boot advantage. Sundin here as Steen steps in against him. A couple of former Leafs.
Steen, a first-round pick from 2002, but he wins that draw surprisingly against Matt Sundin. The puck lobbed down the ice. Bieksa getting to it. Out for Sundin. Will play it in off the Blues defense. The puck hit Roman Polak. And Polak now pressured by Dimitra. Crombie is it rink wide, intercepted by Sundin with 14 seconds to go in the period. Olin has a teammate trapped in that zone offside. All he can do is dump it in. Winchester back for it, and he absorbs a hit from Hordichuk, trying to stir things up as the period will come to an end. The players coming together, and the officials called upon to get in between them.
And take down in behind. These were two of the more robust teams in the league in the regular season as far as fights and roughing minors.
Yeah, they each had 62 fighting majors, which was tied for fourth most in the league. Now Bieksa and Backus are getting into it right near the St. Louis bench.
Little turf war right at the end of a pretty fractious, at times, opening period between these two big and hot Western teams.
That'll be interesting to see. There are any penalty calls coming out of that. The shots 9-8 St. Louis, but Vancouver leading by the count of 1-0 on the goal by Sedin. Daniel with the goal, Dimitra and Edler the assist. Stay tuned for the United States Marine Corps Intermission Report with Bill Patrick, Keith Jones, and Brian Englund coming up after the break here on Versus. Welcome back to beautiful Vancouver, where after one period of this series between the Blues and Canucks, Vancouver leading 1-0. Rick Peckham along with Daryl Ray and Lindsay Soto with you tonight here in Versus. And Daryl talking about that game-opening goal by Daniel Sedin. Big, obviously, for the Canucks, but very big for him, too.
Yeah, I mean, how it unfolded. It was a 6-on-5. They were going to go on a power play. Dimitra was the guy who came off the bench. The Blues seemed a little messed up in their coverage because of that. But the idea that you're getting some offense from at least one of the Twins on that goal, and you can look at the drop-off. It's not just the drop-off to basically they're scoring every second game or in on a goal every second game in the postseason. It's the minus rating, the fact that whoever they're playing against is scoring against them. They've got more help this time, though, again, I think, than they have in previous years as far as some offensive support. That and a little bit of maturity. The knock against them was always the fact that there was some question that whether they could handle the intensity as it gets ratcheted up in the postseason, and maybe a little bit about the physicality, but they look like they're ready for prime time this season.
Yeah, I think maturity is a big part of it, Daryl, and the fact that they got some heat from early in their career when they weren't producing, but they were second or third liners at that point, playing about 13 minutes a game. Now they're being counted on. And even since their last trip to the playoffs in 2007, they've assumed much more control of this offense, and thus the more responsibility, the higher the expectations. That was only Sedin's sixth goal in 44 playoff games, though, as we start this second period. And each team down a man. It's 4-on-4, but misconducts have figured into that scrum at the end of the period. Ryan Johnson and Darcy Hordichuk getting misconducts. Ryan Johnson also a roughing minor, and Brad Winchester got a roughing minor for St. Louis. And so the Canucks will be without two members of their fourth line for a lengthy period here in the second period, with Ryan Johnson and Hordichuk unavailable. They've been a good energy source throughout the season, along with Rick Rippon on that line. Patrick Berglund challenged there by Matthias Ohlund. Puck taken over by Kessler. Oshie has it. Talk about an energy source. He really has been the answer for St. Louis. Luongo, a save on a long drive by Wojciechowski with Backus parked out in front, and the puck cleared out. As it's rolled in on goal, and Luongo covers the puck for the stoppage in play.
Well, that was a weird and confusing set at the end of the period, and everybody up here on broadcast row was trying to figure out whether this was going to be a power play or 4-on-4 to start the second period. It ends up being a St. Louis Blue power play.
Yeah, with the penalty calls.
The depth lines were out there against one another. They decided to try to instigate a mini rumble, and the Canuck penalty killing has been equal to this St. Louis power play so far in the game. A huge 5-on-3 kill in that first period, and now they need one here early in the second.
Oshie overskates the puck, play backed up by McDonald, sends it across to Boyes. Out in the slot, it's worked free by Mitchell, and Johnson out of the box, so he did not receive a misconduct penalty. The misconduct went to Hordichuk. And even the score sheets have things wrong, with Winchester listed as getting a minor. Here's a long pass ahead for Burrows, breaking away. A diving play by Koliakovo knocked the puck off his stick. He crashed into the net and is shaken up behind the St. Louis goal. He went head first into that pipe. He's okay. That, unfortunately, starting his career in Toronto with the Maple Leafs, he ended up more out of the lineup than in the lineup with a myriad of injuries. Nice liberation pass up through the middle, and usually Burrows is money on those. Didn't protect the puck. Great second effort, obviously, from the defenseman. It's a good thing those things tear away off their pegs. He seems to be okay, relatively speaking. Well, he saved a breakaway. It would have gone to Pavel Demitra in the first period, and a great stop here on Burrows, who was in on Chris Mason. Puck sent ahead for Crombie, has to reach back for the puck, and gave it up to the Vancouver line. We haven't gotten a clarification yet on those penalties, but in any case, it was the St. Louis power play. It was held off the board to start this second period. Canucks protecting the 1-0 lead. O'Brien spins it across for Edler. Lead was cut off by Jackman. Steps into the zone. Lobs it toward the net. Scooped up by Luongo, and McClement was negated there by Shane O'Brien. Let's check in downstairs with Lindsay Soto.
Well, guys, the Blues were down 1-0 after one, but they were pretty happy with that first period. Assistant coach Brad Shaw told me they liked the way they got pucks to the net, but they felt like too many of them went straight into Luongo's glove. They were too easy to handle, so they weren't getting as many second chances as they would like. All in all, though, the energy was good. Now they just want to settle in and play their game, and they're hoping that that involves a little bit more discipline, less reaching in with their sticks, for example.
Trying to get a few more pucks maybe in and around the feet of Roberto Luongo and generate some of those second and third opportunities and scrambles around the net, because he is a phenomenal first save goalie.
He came up with a couple of sparkling stops in that first period. A couple on the 3-on-5. We're now going to get a penalty here, and it will go for interference against St. Louis. And McKee makes his way to the box, so Vancouver will have the power play here.
And a good penalty killer in the box too, and McKee stepped right into him a couple years ago, and they allowed that kind of thing. Everybody thought that was a good play, a little bump and let go. Now if you step into a lane after the puck has been released, off you go for interference. A lot of special teams in this game so far. We're early in the second period, and it just seems like it's one team's power play and then the other team's power play with a shot at one another. Neither side has been able to connect.
Both teams' power plays were so effective against each other in the regular season series. The Blues at over 26%. They went 5 of 19. And the Canucks were about 21% this series. But neither team's been able to cash so far.
Well, you get 3 or 4 days to prepare for the other team for a potential 7-game series. And I'm sure there was a strong focus on special teams and shutting down the other team's tendencies on the power play.
Pavel Demitra, his pass deflected by Backus, dives to clear the zone. Edler. Now to Kessler, has to circle back. Who's pressuring in that neutral zone now is Demitra stepping in against Oshie out of the University of North Dakota. Grew up in Everett, Washington, about 90 miles from here. And the puck played out by Weaver.
He actually played in Vancouver twice with the U.S. junior team in the World Junior Championships. Played a lot here as a kid, playing minor hockey against some of the Canadian teams in the Metro Vancouver area.
Canucks working in deep to Henrik Sedin, back to Bieksa. He recovers his position at the point. Pass out in front, knocked down by Jackman. And Jay McClement will chip it down the ice.
Boy, the penalty killing on both sides is way ahead of the power plays. Not that shocking early in a playoff series. There's some jitters, but they've been really unvarnished with the puck.
Henrik Sedin gets the puck back. The pass by Daniel to Henrik, shooting, he sends it wide. And a hit thrown by Salo to win the puck away from Crombeen. Henrik dealing it back to Bieksa. Daniel couldn't pick up the pass. Henrik back for Daniel. Daniel Sedin with the game's only goal to this point. Now Henrik's stick broke. Daniel centers out of Bernier's reach. The drive, they score! Salo pumps it home from the blue line. And the Canucks on the power play make it 2-0.
Well, Sammy Salo has an elephant gun and used it there with a screen in front. It trampolined out of the net over the shoulder of Chris Mason. It looked like they miscued. If Bernier's a left shot there, he probably gets it. It's going to be Bernier's goal. Not only set up the screen, but a subtle little tip of a wicked blast from distance. When that puck came from behind the net, if Bernier shot the other way around, he would have had an easy one-timer to test Mason. Instead, he drops anchor in front, gets the shaft of his stick on that man's booming blast. And just like that, a power play cashes in, and the Canucks have a little breathing room.
Well, Vancouver 1 of 3 on the night with a man advantage, and the 2-0 lead. It's lifted in by Rippon. Burrows in there for it. Rippon, Johnson in front, can't get the puck at his stick. He's pounded by Tkachuk. McKee trips up Johnson, and we'll have a Blues penalty here. Canucks in control, trying to get Luongo off for an extra skater. Johnson dropped out in front by Tkachuk. And let's see what we'll get.
Well, this didn't work out very well for the St. Louis Blues. The last time Jay McKee was sequestered, he was in the box when the Canucks scored just moments ago, and he goes right back in there again, separated from his buddies on the far side. And again, he's a wonderful penalty killer for them, terrific shot blocker, and he's going to have to sit and cheer on this one. I hate those calls, but if you read it in the rule book, if you put your stick in an area that forces the player to trip, it's tripping. He was obviously going after the puck.
A razor look at that replay from behind the net on the goal indicated it looked like it was off Bernier's stick. They've originally given it to Salo. We'll see if they change that. The Sedins, Daniel, and Henrik in that order getting the assists on the power play goal at 5:11. And now another opportunity for the Canucks with Salo back for it. Daniel Sedin right up the middle. Overskates the puck. It's taken by Backes. Backes with a wrist shot, and it's knocked down by Luongo. Kevin Bieksa with 11 goals in the regular season. Canucks producing 35 goals from their defense. That's a big difference from St. Louis, which really just concentrates in minding the score. They had 15 goals.
And again, some of that is the injuries they've been hit with behind their blue line. Both of the Eriks would be attacking defensemen if they were healthy.
Sundin with it. Double team to the line. Surrenders the puck. It's taken by McClement. And a swing around Kessler. Takes the shot. A save by Luongo. And McClement sent to the end boards by Edler. Under a minute to go into the key penalty. Quickly they move it to Sundin Wanting. Shooting that puck on edge. And it's deflected wide by Polak. And it's cleared out by St. Louis.
Sundin's looked a little edgy with the puck at times, too. He's burped it up, took it offside once. Crombie just bumped right into Luongo as he went up to play with the puck.
Kessler trying to turn the corner. Polak shut him off. Edler going to line up the shot. Here's Dimitra looking. Back for Edler. Took his eye off the puck. He's got to hurry with Crombie right there.
You can see the Blues penalty killing, trying to crowd the point men for the Canucks when they're on the power play, not give them a lot of time near the blue line. Try to pick some things up. That's where they pressured hard when the Canucks have set up top.
We're down to 13 seconds onto the key penalty. And Backes with a hit on Edler as it's dumped in. Mason teeing it up for Woywitka. The key set to come out in just a couple of moments here as the Blues with Steen lobbing it through center and down the ice. And the Canucks have to play it. St. Louis back to full strength. A big kill there to keep it 2-0.
They had to have that when they dropped this down to 3-0. They just gave up a power play goal moments ago, so make sure you get it.
We get an icing called here against Vancouver.
Really, both the Canuck goals have been special teams goals. They had their goalie on the bench, an extra attacker in the first period tally, and then this one with the power play on the ice. And that's sort of the difference in this game as we work our way toward the midway point. The Blues have not been able to convert on the power play. The Canucks have.
As Lindsay discussed with Mitchell at the intermission, what a big kill on that 3 against 5 before Vancouver took the lead. The special teams going the way of Vancouver early here in game 1. Here's Boyes. He's had a couple of opportunities to shoot in that 5-on-3. Found the net on one of them as it's played in by Raymond. Raymond takes a look. He sees Koliakovo on him. Carlo back in action after sliding into the post. Here's the shot by Olin, played away by Mason. Weaver. Now with Burroughs getting it back to Wellwood. Great move. Saved by Mason.
And a dandy. Boy, all the Blues got focused on one side of the ice.
And Mason stops Wellwood once again. Poked free by Weaver, and the play chased back to center. We're now going to get a Vancouver penalty as Weaver was dumped to the ice. Interference will be the call. And it will be a St. Louis power play trying to respond from a 2-0 deficit. When we return here on Versus. Shot by Salo, making it 2-0. Canucks in front by the count of 2-0. And Chris Mason tested here in this second period. Trying to hold his team into it.
Well, he's been beaten on the 2 goals, and both times he's lost sight of the puck. That time he met Wellwood at the pipe and gave him no room whatsoever. Here's the minor. You can see it in behind. Almost called that himself with the gesticulation in behind, and Olin sits. The Blues have to make their power play count at some point.
Fifth opportunity for St. Louis. Such a strong power play during the season, and down this miracle stretch run for them to get into the playoffs and reach the 6th seed. But they've come up empty so far as David Perron, stick handling through, keeps going and shoots, and he fires it over the glove of Luongo. Came out in front. Salo kicks it loose. Backus hops on it. Challenged by Sammy Salo. Wojciech across for Polak. Check for defenseman. Pass taken away by Salo. It's off the boards and away from Wojciech, and he's got to hurry. Now Mason will peel back. David Perron stick handles in. 50-point man in the regular season. Edler takes over in the puck. At the point, it's Oshie there to hold it in for McDonald. Andy McDonald, a member of the Stanley Cup champion Ducks. To Tkachuk, try to spin it on goal, to stop by Luongo.
They don't do a lot of that with their power play, where they bring a guy from the goal line like Tkachuk did there and try to wipe it on net. A lot of their success with the extra man has come from one-timers, using one side of the ice with possession, finding a seam, hitting a guy, and he shoots it off the pass. Usually it's Brad Boyes.
They made an adjustment there. Alex Burrows was saying this morning that when they look for Boyes in that cross-ice pass to the circle and the one-timers, is they don't really have a guy in the corner for the passer on the half boards to go to. So we know it's got to go to Boyes, or it's going back to the point.
And the one thing they tried really diligently is to not be predictable.
Oshie wristing it off the glove of Luongo and wide. Chopped away by Mitchell, and it ends up out of play. Deflected, indicated by Chris Lee. 7 seconds to go on Olin's call.
I really like Willie Mitchell. You know, he's a defensive defenseman and uses his stick and feet as well as any D-man in the NHL. He's a defending defenseman's defenseman. Guys love a player like him. I wish they'd split up the Defenseman of the Year award in the NHL. Give one to the guy who gets the most offensive numbers piled up, and one for the guy who protects the house like he does. Uses that long stick, very good penalty killer. His offense is really ramped up this year too, not just the usual suspects on their defense. With the goals and the assists, he's chipped in as well.
Yeah, I think you could create a little Scott Stevens award or something like that. As the penalty has expired. Here's a drive by Polak, and it's fired wide. St. Louis now 0 for 5 with a man advantage.
That stings. It's not like they're not getting their opportunities.
Henrik Sundin wins the puck. Olin sliding it out to center. And it's flipped to center by Olin.
You know, a lot of times this time of year, Rick, you can come in with a strong power play, but you have to get on the job to use it. And they've been on the job a lot tonight. That 5-on-3 again in the first period. They get an opportunity here to take some momentum back and can't do it.
Good pass ahead by Kessler to Sundin, firing, and it deflected off the post. In behind, it's Kessler, centers through the legs of Sundin, and taken by Winchester. Olin. Winchester taking over. One of the big bodies added by the Blues through the course of the season by general manager Larry Plow. Berglund. He's big, young, and talented. Goes 6'4" to about 210. And one of the top scorers among rookies in the NHL. Pass blocked by Bieksa with his skate. Puck recovered by Kessler. That's Sundin. Stick handles in. His shot is blocked by McKee. And Berglund trying to go on the attack here with Brad Boyes. Got a man waiting. McDonald kicking it back to Boyes. Has a great wrist shot. He fires, and it's stopped by Luongo.
It is a sick release. Can shoot in stride. He gets it away quick. He's got a lot on it. Another good save by Luongo. It's been a long time since Roberto Luongo has surrendered a puck into his net. You got to go back now 2.5 games and beyond.
That's the way he ended the regular season, carrying over that brilliance here in Game 1 of this series to start the playoffs. As we've got just over 7 minutes to go in the second period. Long pass on the tape for McDonald. He tried the one-touch to Tkachuk. And the Blues stalled at the line, and we'll get a whistle for an offside. with Vancouver leading on goals by Daniel Sedin and Salo 2-0.
Welcome back to GM Place. Ryan Kessler playing in just his second career playoff game for the Vancouver Canucks. Last time he played in a playoff game, he broke his finger so bad he told the trainer to cut it off. I know you've been looking forward to getting out here for an awfully long time.
Yeah, it was tough a couple of years ago getting in a game and then being out for the rest of the playoffs. So it's good to finally get back in the playoffs here and be a big part of the team.
Ryan, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Guys.
Lindsay, thanks very much. Blues down 2-0. They've got a 16-12 shot advantage in this game as Mason plays the puck aside for Barrett Jackman. Kessler's really developed into a tremendous player in all situations for Vancouver.
Moved him from center to the wing and has fit in marvelously there. And again, power play, penalty killing, even strength, you name it. He's one of their top players in every area of their game.
There's a shot by Highnote. And stopped by Luongo, centered in front as that puck continues to pinball around the Vancouver net. And the Canucks get it out of danger. Rippon dumps his man Roy Witka. The puck played in by Hordichuk. After serving his 10-minute misconduct, announcing his return to the game with a big hit on McKee.
That's what this line is expected to do. The Canucks fourth line get out there, massage the opponent physically, but I think they went over the edge. Rippon's going to get a minor here.
And Olin touches the puck. O'Halloran will issue the penalty at 13:57. Rippon goes 5'11", 185, but he's a bundle of energy and loves to get involved for Alain Vignon's team.
Well, you want him to go out there and physically punish the other side. This used to be what the NHL players were all about. They've called this one tight. Tracks him down, finds him, bam, got the hands up a little bit, made contact with the chin, I guess. And McKee probably finally says, hey, good, somebody on the other side's going to go off instead of me. He's taking 2 minors here in the second period. Again, they've loaded up this St. Louis Blue power play. And 2 penalty killing units that were strong late in the season for both the Canucks and the Blues have showcased that ability here tonight.
Salo off the face-off win will bounce it down the ice. Steen and Koliakovo coming over from Toronto in late November for Lee Stempniak. Operating on this power play along with Backus, McDonald, and Boyes.
They got to find a way to get more pucks through on Luongo that he can't see. Because if he can't see it, he can't control it, maybe not even stop it. He's seeing everything right now.
The drive by Steen. He had that block by Johnson. Steen gets it back, rips the pass to Boyes, sends it across the shot. Saved by Luongo there, and McDonald. It's cleared out.
All right, read that like a comic book. Got across. Knew where it was going to go, even as it zigzagged and they used the width of the ring. He waited on it, got across, and boom, stoned Andy McDonald again.
Koliakovo playing it to Tkachuk. Back out to David Perron. Witka. You know where to find Tkachuk. He's planted right around the neighborhood of Roberto Luongo. 53 seconds remaining on the Rippon call for charging as Perron waiting. Trying to slip it through Bieksa. David Perron got it back. The 20-year-old out in front tipped, and it went over the net by Oshie. Berglund with it. The kids on now for St. Louis along with the old man Tkachuk. And Bieksa drives it hard around the boards and out of the reach of Roy Witka down the ice.
He's been unable to get ahead of the penalty killing of the Canucks enough. They've had opportunities. They've had a couple of golden chances to score, but not a lot of flurries and scrambles.
Oshie trying to duck between the defensemen was finally cut off. Daniel Sedin clears ahead for Henrik. Roy Witka's back. Henrik slams on the brakes. The shot by Daniel, stopped by Mason. And a penalty upcoming for a hook against St. Louis. Rippon set to come out of the box for Vancouver in 6 seconds.
How about that piece of class from the Twins? From nothing.
Killers are 21 to miss the hooking.
This looked like it was going to go absolutely nowhere, and one swerve to the middle and a crisp, terse pass. Watch this little cut. Boom. Gets a little separation on Witka, and by a smidge, Daniel misses that one.
Blues come up with it. Here as we start 4-on-4 until Rippon steps out of the box. And he leads the penalty box, creating a 5th power play chance for Vancouver. They have one of their 2 goals with a man advantage. And Salo, the man who scored it, is out there on this power play now for Vancouver. Patrick Berglund going for the hook at 15:52. As Bernier playing it in, it's chipped out easily by the Blues. And BX is back there for Daniel Sedin to open the scoring in the first period. 31 goal man in the regular season. Bieksa meanders through center. Overleads Henrik. Jackman with a penalty upcoming here. And it's going to go against Henrik Sedin. And the Blues will have the 5-on-3 when Vancouver controls. Bernier gets to it. And Henrik Sedin and Jackman were tangled up behind the net. And now we'll have a 5-on-3 here for St. Louis with 1:09 to go in the first call. Or pardon me, it's going to be 4-on-4.
That'll even it up. Again, you can see the stick in on the hands as Sedin was pursuing that puck down in the corner, and for that he will sit in sin, and a power play cut in half. It's been a tightly called game. It's not that they're not penalties, but it's been tough, I think, if you talk to both sides, to get any kind of momentum going as far as a 4-line game, because if you don't play on special teams, you're not playing right now, and you use certain people, and it breaks up a line, breaks up your rhythm, your combinations. So it's perk your ears up night on the benches.
Hooking the call to Henrik Sedin, 4-on-4 for the moment. Koliakovo moving it by the stick of Backes. The Canucks will hold it in with Oland. Cut off now by Woywitka. Koliakovo, as Andy Murray was talking about him this morning, saying his last 10 games in Toronto, he was a healthy scratch. And first game with St. Louis, he's playing 20 minutes and running the first power play, and his confidence has just soared since then. He's really found a home with the Blues. As we get the whistle to the offside, 4-on-4 continues in just a moment with Vancouver leading it by the score of 2-0. Thanks, Bill. As 4-on-4 continues, Henrik Sedin, 1:15 to go on the Vancouver penalty. 24 seconds remaining on the hooking call to Patrick Berglund of St. Louis. With the Canucks leading 2-0 and 2.5 minutes to play in the second period.
It's an easy transition for the Blues when Berglund comes out. He plays on their power play. He can just skate on and join the attack.
Oshie trying to cut to the middle on the veteran Mitchell. He was wise to that move, and Oshie was wise to the attempted hit from Salo.
Sidestepped that beautifully.
Boy, that is such a danger zone, turning that net. The defenseman knows you're coming around the net, and you can't see him if you're the puck carrier. Now the penalty to Berglund has expired. And St. Louis, with Vancouver scrambling to get players on the ice here in this penalty kill situation. Luongo makes the glove save. We've got 36 seconds to go on the penalty to Henrik Sedin. IndyCar is now on Versus Sunday at 3:30 Eastern. We head to Long Beach, where series leader Ryan Briscoe will have to fend off the best drivers in the world through the hairpin turns at Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. The IndyCar series now on Versus Sunday 3:30 Eastern. It's a new race. Chuck wins that face-off. McDonald back to Steen, firing, saved by Luongo. They score! Boys fires it home. Off the sharp rebound, he gets St. Louis on the board.
Well, they finally get a repurposed entree. It comes on the power play because of the face-off win by Keith Tkachuk. It was like a couple of running bulls on the dot. Tkachuk rips it away. They rotate it down, and they got what they've been looking for. Shot on goal, buxom rebound, pounded into the back of the net. Johnson was down trying to win that face-off. He got in early. Somehow Tkachuk was able to wrestle it away from him. That was the genesis of the goal that has cut this lead in half.
Now, boys who had 33 goals in the regular season, 16 with a man advantage, his first of the playoffs here. And the Blues are back to within one. As a power play finally clicking on its 7th opportunity. Hold on. With Weaver throwing it by Winchester, and Bieksa turns to pick it up. Dan Heino is a member of the Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche in 2001. In on the forecheck. Steen and McDonald get the assists on the goal at 18-16 for St. Louis. And a big hit thrown by Winchester in that corner. Out comes Kessler. Dimitra with him. Long try is knocked down by Mason. He's got plenty of time to cover with 1:02 to go in the period.
Boy, that's a mammoth goal, though, late in the period like this on the power plays you mentioned, because they come up dry with the extra man throughout this. They got what they had been searching for. I'm sure what they talked about, trying to get pucks to the net, get a rebound. And this game just feels all of a sudden brand new. They get a puck past Roberto Luongo, so he seems beatable all of a sudden, and that shutout streak is over with.
As you've mentioned, Razor, they haven't put a lot of pucks on Luongo with a man advantage, especially early in their opportunities. 9 shots and 7 opportunities. I was asking Kachuk this morning about why the power play's been so much better this year. He says, well, we're getting more pucks to the net generally. And Alex Steen, who I'm sure never saw the point in Toronto, back there at the point letting that shot go on that particular occasion.
Well, like Lindsay in her interview with Brad Shaw in the first intermission, and Shaw was saying that they needed to get more pucks down low to create some second opportunities off Luongo. If everything goes into his body and into his glove, it's going to die there. Put it around his feet, into those big pillows. Give yourself an opportunity to grab a puck where there's no coverage and no goaltender that time for Brad Boyce. Look at that, though. Wow. That's quite a run. Came into the postseason with a .941 save percentage, the best recorded since the early 80s, 83, 84. Just hasn't played all that much in the postseason.
He's missed the playoffs 7 out of 8 years. Seeing action in 2007 where he was stellar, somehow emerged with a losing record with a .177 goals against average and a .941 save percentage, but 5-7 his record as they were eliminated by the Anaheim Ducks.
Well, that was that series when he played head-to-head against Marty Turco. Turco had 3 shutouts for Dallas and lost the series.
Yeah, he ends up with the lowest goals against of any goaltender in the entire playoffs and loses. Here's Mason Raymond shooting on the move. A save by Mason, and it's tapped to the side of the goal by Bernier. Mason holding the post, and once again,
another angry end to a period.
Absolutely.
And maybe penalties out of this again.
Things are continuing as Pollock and Raymond, away from the officials, are pushing and shoving. And Backus separated from a Canuck in behind the net, and perhaps no penalties will result from this as the shots through 40 minutes. 20 for the Blues, 16 for the Canucks. Vancouver had a 2-1 lead, and now it's 2-1 with the Blues getting on the board. Stay tuned for the Verizon Wireless Intermission Report with Bill Patrick, Keith Jones, and Brian England coming up after the break here on Versus.
The Stanley Cup playoffs on Versus are brought to you by Bud Light. With just the right taste that never fills you up, the difference is drinkability.
Great view of downtown Vancouver, the side of our coverage tonight on Versus. Game 1 of this best-of-7 Western Conference quarterfinal series. Canucks leading the Blues 2-1 as we start play in this third period. As the two coaches looking on intently. And we look at the power play numbers. Wow, there have been a lot of chances tonight, Darryl.
Well, they've played less than 20 of the first 40 minutes at even strength. And a lot of it has been what you'd call obstruction type penalties. 7 of the 14 penalties handed out have been of the hooking and interference variety.
Along with Darryl Ray and Lindsay Sato, it's Rick Peckham with you tonight here on Versus as here's Kessler losing the puck to Backus, played away by Bieksa. And Winchester's offside, and we'll get the whistle there as we check in with Lindsay downstairs.
Well, you guys have talked about the number of penalties. That is the story so far as the Canucks coaching staff is concerned. Asked what he thought it was going to take to win this game, assistant coach Rick Bowness said simply, flow. there has been no flow to this game. He told their team to stay out of the box in the third in no uncertain terms. They want to play 5-on-5. He was particularly frustrated, by the way, by that last penalty that they took in the second. 200 feet away from the net, reaching in. It's primarily emotion, he says, but it's got to stop.
The extra shooting save by Mason. Rebound up for grabs. Burrows poked it in toward the net. It's covered by Mason. He'll get a whistle.
Boy, good work by Wojciechowski, the defenseman in front, to make sure he didn't allow Burrows to furrow and get this puck. Here he is, 29 right in front of the net. Watch him turn, control the stick, get some position on him, and it allows his goaltender to come out and smother a loose puck. No problem whatsoever. That area, the Blues defense, they've been fairly firm in this one. This has been a high shot, high scoring chance game tonight. There are almost as many block shots as there have been goalie saves through 2 periods. It's gone about their business. The problem for St. Louis until late in that second period was they couldn't cash in on the power play. Who knows how many more chances they'll get.
Saddle fires, blocked away by Mason with Sundin. Knocking at the door. Dimitra roughed up by Jackman in the corner. The puck cleared out by Tkachuk. Ahead for Andy McDonald. McDonald checked by Saddle as Kessler takes a look. He finds Willie Mitchell. That's 20-19, favoring St. Louis as Weaver surrenders the puck. Had some help from McDonald, and the Blues move it to center. Played in by McClellan. Mitchell leaving it now for Edler. Canucks have the Raymond line on with Bernier and Kyle Wellwood, and Raymond pulls his way to the puck.
There's that speed again. You can see the Canucks trying to break the neutral zone up, where the Blues have been good. They're strong in that area with their positioning in between the 2 blue lines. They're trying to get a little stretch going, trying to do some chip and chase, spend more time in the St. Louis zone if they can get through the neutral zone clean. Same thing on the other side, I'm sure.
O'Brien sees Crombeen coming. Mason rolling it up the boards. Wellwood trying to get there. Steen hustled over for St. Louis. Crombeen in behind the net. McClellan in front. The pass nowhere near him. He was wide open in the slot.
Went off the side of the net as he tried to center that. But that's where the Blues were successful early in this game, where they get pucks deep, hound the Canuck defense, turn pucks over, and get some looks at Roberto Luongo from that.
Olin, 11-year veteran of the Canucks. Whether he comes back for a 12th is to be decided this summer. He's an unrestricted free agent, as are the Sedins, as they're pressuring that St. Louis net. That's for the first 3 shots of this third period. Henrik Sedin had it taken away by Brad Winchester. Down the boards, Bieksa fired, and it was going wide. Gloved by Mason to get a whistle now as Daniel Sedin and Jackman get involved in behind the net.
There's been a little bit of this too. Smell the glove fest after the whistle, and it's resulted in some of the penalties in the game. I think there are going to be more here.
Yep, Burrows and Oshie got going, and I think we've got one call off of that. And we'll see while the officials sort everything out. Let's take a look at the United States Marine Corps storyline.
Well, the Sedin, especially Daniel, but the Twins in general have had a real bite in the game. There's Boyd's power play goal. First career playoff goal for him, and Roberto Luongo, who didn't give up a goal in his final 2 games of the regular season. It took the Blues almost 2 full periods to get a puck past him here tonight, as young Oshie will sit for that extracurricular on the tail end. And you know, I think every coach at this time of year especially tries to tell their charges on both sides, play hard between the whistles, not after the whistle. And they've tried to get in the grill of the Sedins for good reason, because they've been involved in both the goals they've given up. It was a great play by Henrik Sedin with his feet on the second Vancouver goal. He's a good one, young Oshie.
Well, he's going to be joined in the box by Burrows, 2 each for roughing in a 4-on-4 session approaching here.
Mason had a problem with his skate, might have hit his skate blade against one of the pipes and lost an edge, so a quick repair on the Blues bench, and they started up. Mitchell will sail it toward the corner. Poliakovo
hit by Henrik Sedin. Henrik with a puck. He and Daniel operate down low. Henrik, nice move as he's contained by Weaver. McDonald peeling back to take it for St. Louis. Ripped away by Daniel Sedin. Henrik waiting. Feeding it to Daniel. This is almost a Canuck power play with these two guys up front.
Well, and usually what they want is they want you to chase them. Boy, everything has been called tonight. They didn't get that. The defenseman got the puck first and then cut down Sedin. Otherwise, if it was the other way around, he'd be headed off.
And Daniel with a big hit on McDonald. Koliakovo, that defenseman who separated the Sedin twins from the puck. Getting to it is McDonald out at center. He's paired with Boys, a dangerous duo. Jackman off the bench. McDonald cross to Polak. He shoots, and it's blocked by Daniel Sedin. Mitchell moves it back to Daniel, and Kessler speeds out to center. 55 seconds to go on the twin minor penalties. Kessler had it just knocked out of his reach by Jackman. A sterling play there. Two good defensive plays by the Blues D-man. First to Koliakovo on Sedin earlier, and then that one right there from Jackman. An unheralded group, but they continue to play solidly. Here's a try from right along the goal line by Kessler, off the arm of Mason, and it's Patrick Berglund to center. He works with Perron. Two youngsters with 27 seconds to go in the minors to Oshie and Burrows. Pavel Demitra set up the first goal. Drop pass here to Mason Raymond, shooting off the pipe. They've hit a couple. Twice. They've hit pipes in behind Chris Mason. O'Brien challenged in there by Wojciechowski, and Kachuk throws a hip check into O'Brien. Out of the box come Oshie and Burrows. The pass across to Sundin, played away by McKee. David Backes had it stripped away by Bieksa. Wojciechowski back for it. And on the mission in there was Steve Bernier to throw the hit on Wojciechowski. Now it's Bernier getting the pass. Sending it in for Daniel Sedin. Room to wind and fire, and a save by Mason. There's no rebound. Well, he's been sharp, and he's been fortunate a couple of times. Daniel Sedin hit a pipe in the second period. This time it's Mason Raymond, the trailer, uses the defenseman as a screen. And that has probably been the biggest problem area for Mason in this one tonight, is some traffic. On both goals that have beaten him, he's lost the puck through the bodies in front of him. That time I don't think he had a beat on it until he heard it clang off the pipe. It'll be McClement against Wellwood on this faceoff, as Wellwood stumbles in the circle, supported by Bernier. Back to the point to O'Brien. Wristed on goal. It's fended off by Mason as that puck sailed past a number of bodies on its way to the net. This try is tipped by Raymond, a save by Mason. Two big stops in a row there, Rick. Jackman throws it to the open boards. Mason Raymond had it bounce over his stick. He stays with it, though, and he'll play it back in. And Koliakovo, the former Leaf first-rounder, playing it to Polak. Work it now to Steen. As the team's at full strength with Steen. Had it taken away by Olin down low along with Burrows. It comes out in front. Wellwood there to take it. Gripping at center. Playing it to the corner. Koliakovo running the boards by Burrows. Weaver up the boards to Backes. Backes takes it. Rink wide pass. Stepping up was Bieksa to kick at it. And the puck comes back into the hands of Ryan Johnson. Now there's a little for 5 years, Razor. Now there's a little bit of rhythm to this game. Now the teams have avoided the penalty box for the most part. You can see them turning over their lines, both the Blues and the Canucks, trying to get fresh legs out there all the time, and the intensity is picked up. And the Canucks continue to lead here in Game 1 by the score of 2-1. Well, at this time of year, you have a choice, and usually you alternate between being the anvil and being the hammer. And both teams have gone at each other physically in this one. Not all of it legal, not all of it between the whistles. But it's been hard hitting, what you'd expect. They had a series of games in the regular season that were just like that. Tough to get a crack in either side, though. The forwards have worked hard to get back, help out their defensemen.
good scoring chances have been kept to a premium, and that's why we have a low-scoring affair.
Dimitra driving it in from center. It's over the St. Louis net. Kessler absorbs a hit from McKee. And Sundin puts on the brakes. Works with Dimitra. Interrupted by Tkachuk. Gave it up. Kessler shooting. A save by Mason. Sundin fires. He missed the net. Great opportunity for that line there. Forcing Mason to come up with a save and then missing on the chance with Sundin firing.
You could see he had McKee right in front of him, their top shot blocker, and usually there's a communication. It has to be a quick one between the goalie and the defenseman as to whether you're staying up or going down.
Offside here against Vancouver. Let's have a look at the brackets in the Western Conference.
It's a good matchup down in California with the Ducks, who worked their way into the playoffs after the trade deadline against the top team in the NHL in the regular season. Columbus has been very good against Detroit. They've got a great young goaltender, maybe the front runner for Rookie of the Year. This one you're seeing tonight. And Calgary, or whatever's left of them, are going to take on those young Chicago Blackhawks. Boy, to have Chicago back into the postseason again and the fervor around that city.
Here's Crombeen, finally stopped. Right at the front of the net. We got a whistle and an offside there. The shot's 8-1 Vancouver. Crombeen trying to get some offense generated at the Vancouver end.
There's that big gap between their defensemen who didn't get up on the play with that forward line who drove the Canucks back. Alain Vigneault talked about the Blues this morning and called them a high percentage team. And part of that is the forwards who track so hard back. And he mentioned that he felt his side were going to have to be very good with the puck. Not just without it, but with it, because turnovers can be deadly against a team like this that's as positionally sound as the Blues are.
Bernier steams in on the St. Louis defense. Poliakovo ahead for Perron. And look out in that Vancouver bench. He fired it out of play.
Things have settled here a little bit in the third period. Both sides. Perron's had a couple of pretty good looks at Luongo at times in the game. That kid line during their stretch when they worked themselves into a playoff position, they got a lot of mileage out of Berglund, Oshie, and Perron down the stretch. Scored big goals, especially in third periods when maybe those young legs came through for them.
Well, the Canucks have been peppering Mason here so far in the third as Weaver. The pass ahead for Berglund. And the big Swedish center playing it out to center. The thing about Perron, Oshie, and Berglund is they're all three first-round picks, all taken in the 20s in terms of the number of their selections. So that's a terrific scouting when you can come up with first-round picks in 05, 06, and 07 and have them all in your lineup and playing as well as those three. Jarmo Kekalainen, their director of amateur scouting in St. Louis, doing an outstanding job, he and his staff. Danielson fires along the goal line, hit the side of the goal, and Weaver back for St. Louis. Long lead pass to Backus, has room across that line with Oshie. The shot easily played aside by Luongo. Yexa working with Wellwood. Yexa looks up ice as the Blues make a change. 11 and a half to go here in this third period.
This is where you can see the Canucks trying to stretch the Blues out a little bit, but at the same time, the defensemen have to have some outlet. Now he finds them at center, little chip and go.
Raymond encounters McKee. And a spin away from Berglund. Got it out in front. It's covered by Mason, and the whistle blows. Well, the Stanley Cup playoffs here on Versus. Every second counts. Tomorrow night at 7. Henrik Zetterberg leads the Red Wings on their quest to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. But Rick Nash and the Blue Jackets look to make history in their first playoff appearance ever. Game 1 for the Joe tomorrow night at 7 right here on Versus.
See how the other Mason does in the pipes.
Wow. A spectacular season. 10 shutouts.
Good name to have if you're an NHL goalie right now.
The Masons were dominating there in the Central Division, and Chris turns away a shot out in front. And Wojciechowski buried on the hit by Kessler. He's blocked 3 shots and thrown 4 hits.
They've started to challenge this defense core a little more here in the third period. They've got pucks deep, tried to work them much more than they did in the first 2 periods. And part of that, too, Rick, might have been just the fact seldom were they out there 5-on-5 and able to do that. They were either killing penalties or on the power play.
And the shots favoring Vancouver 10-2 here in the third. The faceoffs 10-0 favoring the Canucks. Here's Kessler shooting, saved by Mason. And what he has done, I'm sure, many times through the second half of the season, trying to calm down his team, keeping them in here as they're down by just a goal.
Well, it's one thing to do that, but if you're not winning faceoffs, maybe you should keep it moving a little bit more than what he has. Started playing goal when he was 11. Played forward prior to that. Loved the equipment. A lot of the guys that play that position seem to fall in love with what some call the tools of ignorance, Rick, and then move higher and higher in that position.
Certainly that was not the case with you.
Please.
No.
Please. See if they can win a draw in their own zone here.
Well, the tough part is Ryan Johnson, who of course has been with the Blues for 5 years, going against Backus, who's not a natural center, but certainly one of the personnel moves that got this team going was the move of Backus to play center right around the mid-season point. And he's been very comfortable there, but doesn't have that face-off experience. Ryan Johnson, in the meantime, playing with a mangled finger that he's going to have reconstructed at the end of the season. He broke it blocking a shot. Luongo save there on that try for the poor angle by Jackman. Faceoffs are Johnson's calling card, and he really hasn't been as effective throughout the season as he would have liked because of the right index finger he's been playing. Past the midway point here in the third. Long pass tipped by Henrik Sedin into his own bench as it's 2-1 Vancouver. Henrik Sedin, part of the scoring. Ryan Kessler doing his part to help the cause.
Well, one of the keys here tonight for the Blues was to find a way to solve Roberto Luongo. You have to score to win. Been impossible to score on lately in the regular season, and in the postseason, he has the best save percentage registered in the playoffs since 1983. Brizgalov with some of those great performances early in the playoffs with Anaheim right underneath of him. Wouldn't be shocked to see both goalies in Anaheim with the Ducks get some time there too, although Hiller's a big reason why they moved themselves into a playoff spot down the stretch.
Crombeen tied up by O'Brien. What a debut for Luongo in 2007. His first game, he makes the 72 saves in the game that goes 4 overtimes against the Dallas Stars, and the Canucks winning on the Henrik Sedin overtime winner 5-4.
And that was a night where, you know, as good as the goaltending was in that series, both goalies were very beatable, and it went on forever.
Even with those 9 goals, the two teams scored just 25 goals total for the 7 games. So there weren't many pucks in either net the rest of the way. Big hit by O'Brien and Crombeen. He came up high on that. He's talking with Crombeen as the play moves down the ice. It's tipped back inside the St. Louis line by Henrik Sedin.
Yeah, the refs have stopped calling a lot of the stuff that they were whistling in the first 2 periods.
Throws a steal, maintains his balance, draws a penalty against the Blues, and we'll get the call here for a hook from O'Halloran.
Perron's going to go. They turned the puck over, the Blues did, and that created a situation where the tracking forward had to come back. Watch this, little bump up, no problem here. They spit it up, just a careless pass in his own zone by Boyes, I believe it was, and then Perron coming back has to foul the oncoming Canuck forward. Turnovers are a bad thing at this time of year. We'll see how bad here in the next 2 minutes.
Well, Perron's still upset at the call as he sits it out, and a big opportunity for Vancouver to regain the 2-goal lead. With about 8:40 remaining here in the third period, Bieksa back for the puck. Pass ahead for Henrik Sedin. Cuts in, and the play whistled offside.
Not by much. They're leaders in the regular season on the power play as far as goal scoring was concerned. Wellwood with 10, Kessler with 10, and Daniel Sedin with 9. But that's just one layer to their attack. The other is their blue line core, who score a lot of power play goals, hammering it from 50, 60 feet. It's been quite a night, though, quite a debut in this year's postseason for the Sedin twins, who've had the puck a lot, done some damage in the game, and an opportunity here to give them another little inch of breathing room.
Well, the power play goal scored in this game by Vancouver coming from the defense. Sammy Salas scoring, and all 5 of his regular season goals came with the man advantage. To back up what you're saying, Bieksa also with 5 power play goals in the regular season. Here's Daniel shooting, a save by Mason.
He walked that one from behind, and again, it's the interchange between the Twins.
Bernier hung on long enough to take that pass onside with 1:12 to go and Perron's penalty. Bernier working with Sundin and Oland to try to come up with a puck. Jackman doing a good job of killing clock, supported by Backus. Edler back. Another defenseman with 5 power play goals in the regular season. He dashes out of the zone along with Matt Sundin, and a defenseman got to him early and forced the play offside at the line.
Well, if you want to break down the Sedin twins, Henrik is the playmaker, Daniel the finisher. That's the thought process anyway. And there's Daniel Sedin taking it to the house from the goal line. Another good save by Chris Mason, who's doing what he's done for months now for the Blues, and that's hang him in and give him a chance.
Well, Henrik's averaged 64 assists in the last 3 years, so he's been setting up a lot of people. His brother, one of them. Blues trying to move that puck out of the zone. Steen couldn't get the job done. It's fired in deep by Dimitra. That was blocked. Olin gets it back across. Edler challenged by Alex Steen. Dimitra with it. Kessler in the circle. Matt Sundin on the near side. Here's Olin firing a save by Mason. 21 seconds to go. As the puck fired out of play, Mike Civic, the linesman on the near side, indicates it was deflected out. And so there will be no penalty.
There's an argument from 18,000 plus here, though. Mason started to find pucks through traffic. He's had to. Remember, the body's just got that one with the elbow as it went up and over top of the block up top. The Canucks trying to generate more so some randomness off the shot from distance than to beat him with that shot from 50 feet.
Weber taking his time before he'll sail it down the ice.
That one went in the crowd, but it chipped again off of
right in the first row.
If you shoot a puck out of play from in behind your own blue line, it's delay a game, whether it's intentional or not, if it goes out clean. And twice it's gone off another player and out.
Blues win the face-off, and Jackman wrists it ahead for McClement.
All of a sudden now the Canucks on the power play when they need to win draws, and they can't win when to save their life. They were hot early in the period. Now the Blues have won a lot of these very important ones.
Penalties expired. Perron back on. Blues keep it at a 2-1 deficit. Holding off balance shooting. Stopped by Mason. And Daniel Sedin back to Hendrick. Roll off his stick to McClement. Held in by Bieksa. Jackman will shovel it out of the zone, and Mitchell's there with 6:17 to go in the third. Canucks in a line change. Wellwood steaming in there on Weaver with a hit. Keith Tkachuk ahead for Boyes. Boyes in his playoff debut, scoring his first goal. And that's the goal for St. Louis. Puck knocked down with a high stick by Weaver, and he's the next to touch it. And we got the whistle and the draw in the St. Louis zone.
Well, it's just like the Blues have a little bit of a rope-a-dope going here in the third. The Canucks have gone to another level. They've worked a lot of pucks deep and gone after St. Louis in behind their own blue line. They just haven't been able to penetrate Mason and net. And it sets up for the St. Louis Blues to counter at some point and test Luongo. They haven't done that in a while.
Bernier hanging on to that puck, working with Raymond, looking for Wellwood in front. A great pass, just bounced off his stick.
Well, Perron was late to collapse as the weak side winger into that slot area. Could have been a bang-bang.
Bernier controlling it, using that big body acquired from the Buffalo Sabres. Wellwood behind to Raymond. We shoved to the ice by Backus. Still maintains control. Wellwood knocked down. And this Canuck line continues to control the puck. It's centered and cleared away by Koliakovo before Bernier could get a stick on it. David Perron into that zone. He's got Oshie going to the net. Here's the shot, and it's fired wide. Oshie goes down out in front of that goal, encountering Luongo, and it's sent to the point, held in by Jackman. Now two players collide, David Perron and Wellwood. We got a whistle for a hand pass, and Perron is shaken up. in that Vancouver zone. And he's going to receive some medical attention here with 5:03 remaining in the third period of game one. And we'll check on his condition when we return. A 2-1 Vancouver lead. And this collision resulting in Perron being shaken up.
The Stanley Cup playoffs on Versus are brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Visit Progressive.com. And by Verizon Wireless, America's largest mobile-to-mobile calling family.
Welcome back to Vancouver here at GM Place. 2-1 Vancouver hanging on to that lead. Along with Darryl Ray and Lindsay Soto, Rick Peckham with you in our coverage from Versus. We're in game one of this series as the Blues trying to pressure and get that tying goal. Andy McDonald zips it back to the point to Koliakovo. Has no shooting angle. He'll send it back around to McDonald once again. He's got Boys with him as well as Tkachuk. And Mitchell interrupts things and he'll slide it down the ice.
It all started with another face-off win for the Blues with Keith Tkachuk on the dot. It just looks dangerous when he's there. He didn't beat Sundin cleanly, but they won the puck and had some dangerous moments. And they haven't had a lot of those in the third period.
Daniel Sedin along with Burrows hemming in the Blues, which they've done quite well in this third period. The shots 14-2 Vancouver between the early wide advantage and face-off wins, Razor, and shifts like we saw from that Wellwood line just a moment ago. They've really been able to hem in the Blues.
Starts with possession. The Canucks are starting to bring their defensemen down the boards too whenever the Blues are trying to exit around the outskirts of the rink in their own zone.
Great play by Sedin, shooting, and he sends it just wide as he was set up by Burrows, and it was Henrik Sedin who made the play happen on a steal. A shot by Steen, a save by Luongo, and ends up out of play.
Big goalie shoulder save there on a cutting play by Steen.
Let's take a look at tonight's Bud Light difference maker.
Well, the Sedins have been marvelous tonight for Vancouver, and Daniel has been the productive one. Scored the opening goal on a pretty little touch pass tip. He's been abrasive too, and the assist, almost the primary assist, if they continue to give it to Salo on the second Canuck goal, although it certainly looked to us that Bernier had tipped it in front of the net. They've just been really the best pair in the game here tonight. They've been tough to match up against for St. Louis.
Well, after 96 goals in 3 years in the regular season, Daniel Sedin scoring his 6th playoff goal in his 44th game. And it comes at a big moment. It certainly should ease the pressure on him. But not only that, Razor, you look at what he hasn't done in the playoffs. I think there's pressure on the Sedins for the fact that Vancouver was in a playoff spot down the stretch last year. They went on to lose 7 of their last 8 games. Some of that responsibility falls on them as well as their teammates, and not even getting into the postseason.
Yeah, it was an ugly finish, and it created an almost massive overhaul.
Steve Lowe lost his job over that.
When Gillis was brought in, there were some questions as to the personnel moves they were making, but how do you argue with them now? It looks like a much deeper team, and the number one question to start the season was who was going to score goals for Alain Vigneault other than the Sedins, and they've received offense from multiple lines, and they're healthy D-core. That was a problem for them last year. Luongo didn't play very good late in the season, and they were really banged up on their blue line.
Their blue line lost 166 man games to injury last year. They've only lost 43 to injury this year, as they have really had a healthy 6 much of the season. And what a big difference for them as they bounce back to win their 2nd Northwest Division title since Vigneault took over as coach. He was Coach of the Year winner of the Jack Adams Award in 2007, his first season. The Blues trying to generate some offense here with just under 3 minutes to go in the third period. And Dimitri gets to the puck. Kessler working with Dimitri. Matt Sundin. Dimitri with room to step into one. A save by Mason, and he deflects it out of play.
Well, again, you can see the Blues defense, who are probably a little bit weary-legged, backed off again. It's called gap, when you have that big gap between where your forwards are and where your D are. And what it allows is it allows the other team to hit your blue line with a ton of speed. See where they're coming out of the Canucks zone, and already the Blues defense is inside their own blue line and waiting on them. It allows that long, hard shot to come from distance. Eric Jackman wants to dip. This is a nice slow down ploy to gain a little breather here, take things over in their own zone. But they've been pressured a lot in this third period, and for the most part it's just been probes by the Blues off the rush against Vancouver and trying to test Luongo at the other end.
Well, they've had 4 shots here in this third period. TJ Oshie bumped there by Kessler, and the puck taken over by the Canucks at center. They'll just simply dump it back in. Jackman. With Sundin waiting at center ice. It's played in off the glass. Jackman will give it a little chase to that one, but the play is offside as the Canucks trap, forcing the stoppage there.
Time's becoming a bit of an enemy now for the Blues too, who have to do something here in the final 2 minutes and change. You know, to be in this game in Vancouver, nobody's really giving Andy Murray's side much of a chance when you listen to the so-called experts who are picking the Canucks in 5, maybe 6. But one bounce, one break, one turnover, one opportunity, and all of a sudden you're looking at overtime.
Carlo Koliakovo out there with the big 3 veterans in terms of scoring power on this unit. And Andy Murray's the first to tell you we don't have a lot of offensive defensemen. Koliakovo's pretty much their guy here. They need to get an extra guy on the rush if they can.
Well, move it out of their own zone first.
Yep.
That's where he helps too, and there he goes to join the rush.
Kachuk. It's the line leaving it. McDonald pulls the trigger. A save by Luongo. Hang on with 1:53 to go in the third.
They're going to get an offensive zone face-off here, but it starts from their own zone and being able to transition the puck out of their own end and then join. And, you know, there's probably some guys sucking some air. Here's Koliakovo out of his own zone, hits the gas. Away he goes to join. Kachuk takes the blue line, and there goes the defenseman to pierce to the front of the net. Even though he doesn't end up with a puck, he doesn't end up being a part of the play. It doesn't look like to the naked eye, but at the same time he draws coverage, which means somebody else might be open.
Wellwood and McClement on this face-off. St. Louis gets it. However, it went through the legs of Roy Witka. He's pressured by Bernier. And the Blues try to organize the rush. David Backes has been such a big clutch goal scorer for them this season. In fact, he scored the big goal in a game that turned things around back in January 19th, scoring with 0.8 of a second to cap a comeback and force an overtime against the Bruins. They won in the shootout and really never looked back as that puck hits the open door at the Vancouver bench. We get a whistle. But whether he can come up with the heroics here, they're down a goal with 1:23 to go in the third period. We'll have to wait and see.
I want to see where this faceoff's going to be. It's going to come all the way back down in the blue zone to the left of Mason.
This year they no longer face off the puck from where it was shot out of play. They only conduct the face-offs at the 9 face-off positions, and that's the closest one. As a result, the Blues have to start from in deep. Jackman watched by Burrows. Long lead pass. Mitchell right there escorting Kachuk. And it's played back in deep. Burrows steaming in on Pulock. McDonald wants it and gets it. Kessler right there. Cut off by Saddle. Going to the bench is Mason with a minute to go in the third period of this first game of the best-of-7 series. Backes is on for St. Louis along with Kachuk, along with Boyes, who has the puck. Brad Boyes dropping it back for Kachuk. And behind him, McDonald. Backes in front. Can't find him. Sallow there defensively. Sallow works it free. Gets control. 3 Blues on the scene. They come up with it. McDonald loads up. The shot tipped by Kessler. Backes has it. 33 seconds to go. The 6 skaters on. Here with the empty net of the Blues. Trying to keep the pressure on in the zone. Steen there. Shooting. Knocked down in front. It was blocked by Mitchell. Kachuk with a loose stuck in front. It comes back to Koliakovo. Steve fires. He sends it wide. It comes back to Koliakovo. Sends it toward the net. Stop by Luongo. 11 seconds to go. Canucks trying to clear it out. Koliakovo holds it in. Burrows gets it, but not out. Boys sends it across to Steen. Off the skate with 3. Into the corner to McDonald. Tried to center there. Was blocked by Mitchell. And the horn sounds, ending the hockey game. And game 1 belongs to the Vancouver Canucks. Hanging on for the 2-1 win.
Well, they defended most of this third period by putting pucks deep and going after the Blues in their own zone. And then late in the period, to make sure they win game number 1, that defending in front of Roberto Luongo, who was tough to beat again.
Well, the Canucks outshoot the Blues 31-26 in this one, 15-6 in the third period. And goals by Daniel Sedin in the first and Salo in the second. Boys scoring for St. Louis, the scoring in this one. Stay tuned for Hockey Central on Versus, presented by Bud Light, with Bill Patrick, Brian Engblom, and Keith Jones coming up after the break.